Mayor, we live.
Great, thank you. So today is Wednesday, July 6, 2022. The time is 5:11 p.m. and I'm calling to order the Ballpark City Council special meeting. City Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Alejandra Avila. Here. Councilmember Monica Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Paul Hernandez. Mayor Pro Tem Daniel Damian.
Here.
Mayor Manuel Estrada.
Here, thank you for that. City Clerk. City Clerk, is there anybody looking to speak during public communication?
Yes, Mayor, we have one individual who requested to speak. We're going to call him. His name is Paul Cook.
Hello? Hi, Mr. Cook. This is calling you from the Alden Park regarding your request to the special council meeting.
Yes.
Your time will start as soon as you begin to speak.
Oh, so do I start now? They're gonna.
Yeah, whenever you start, your time will start.
Okay, just let me know. So.
You can start now.
Oh, okay. Hi, Mayor and council members. I understand that you want to hire Ron Garcia as the director, and he just has a perception right now of total corruption, of supporting royal coaches. He's not doing his job code enforcing them, and they're historically corrupt, as you know, with the $1 million tone scandals that they did, and it makes it look like royal coaches is owning Ron Garcia. And, you know, this type of historical corruption just has to stop. As you know, we've been battling this a long time, and so he's just not qualified in character or in competency. And from what I understand, he basically was hiding files and is in touch with William Salazar all the time. I've also been complaining about the Guadalajara Grill sign, and from what I understand, it's an oversized. Well, it is an oversized sign, and I don't believe they have a permit. From what people have told me, you know, our battles with temporary signs, and I hope that I don't have to look to find another client and get the ACLU involved. I mean, this is not on. It's total favoritism. That is the Lozano area. I know Manny Carrillo frequents it. I know Monica Garcia frequents it. And, you know, this type of favoritism isn't tolerable anymore in this city. And so I'm just asking that Ron Garcia not be appointed. And, if anything, he should be fired. That's my view. So, the community's not for him, and he's not doing a good job. So this corruption has to end. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Those are all the requests we received.
Great, thank you. If anybody's looking to speak without a card, now's your time to do so.
John Rios, resident. One of the things, like around 7 weeks ago, I asked him to give me some information on the code enforcement phone numbers for the weekends or even during the week. When I see something, I don't have to be a monitor for the city or anything, but I do because I don't want it to get back the way it was. He never responded to me. He never gave me the numbers for them and everything. Everything that has happened lately, I would go directly to one of the inspectors, which I have all the numbers. But he never gave it to me, never gave me a schedule or anything. That's one of the things you, as any kind of, management, you have to respond for a request, especially for the city, in Baldwin Park. We are very demanding a lot of times, but at the same time, we want to keep our city clean. I've seen a lot of vendors come back into the areas, and I usually call one of the inspectors to come and check it out. Eloteros, I've seen them try to get into the city and the inspectors go right away when I call them up. That's one of the things. We cannot be favoritism to any point of the view, Follow the law, and that's about it, We can't go back to the way it was 8 months ago, Our city is growing, especially in the area of Ballpark Boulevard and Francisquito. It's booming. It's booming, tell you the truth. There's a lot of business right there. People that come from West Covina, because we have a bunch of restaurants, drive-throughs and everything. And the main one is in and out, So that's one of the things that we're trying to clear that thing, Don't be making deals with anybody, okay? That's all I have for right now.
Greg Tuttle, business owner. I want to protest the nomination for Ron Garcia to be City Development Director. He's incompetent. He's bought off. He's a buddy deal with all the council people that want to do friends favors. I told him in an email a while back I was going to, if I didn't get satisfaction with what's going to happen with Royal Coaches and clean up all the mess over there, that I would file a total complete request of all information regarding all the properties, permits, and everything else that's done by Royal Coaches from the year 2000. And to my surprise, when I filed that with my attorney yesterday, 4 hours later, Mr. Salazar's calling me voicemail. Why is Ron Garcia talking to Willie Salazar? That public information request was for me to the city, not to Willie Salazar, not to talk to Willie Salazar. It's about doing their job and giving me those documents. But he seems to think he has a personal relationship, which he does, and it's favoritism. And I've taken Danny Damon around. I've taken some of the other people around to show them all the violations he has. Nobody does anything. The parking's atrocious over there. The police chief can't even control parking control. We have parking enforcement people that don't even show on that street. Every day there's 5 or 6 cars illegally parked, and they're washing cars out in the street. This is illegal. But does anybody do anything? No. Code enforcement shows a blind eye to it. Ron Garcia came from West Covina. We know what West Covina is all about. Corruption started there and came over here with Mike Toohey, Roger Hernandez, and the whole bunch. Now then, there seems to be a lack of confidence with all the workers that work for Ron. They all want to enforce the law the way it should be done, the way they were hired and sworn in to do. But we have certain council members, and we have Ron Garcia, that stops that, like the vendors. Pick up the food, pick up the vending thing, and that isn't done. No, just give them a citation. Does anybody check the ID on these people? No, because they write them a ticket, and then guess what? Nobody comes in to pay the ticket because they have false ID. We need to support our code enforcement with a good leadership. And I helped you guys out with the last girl you wanted to get mayor or get city manager because she was a nightmare. But nobody did the background on her. All you had to do was go through Google and find that out. But we haven't even fired the corrupt city attorney, the corrupt city finance director. We haven't got rid of those people yet. We still keep hanging on. Let's get some balls and fire these people.
Time is up, sir.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is there anybody else looking to speak? If not, I will close public communication, and we will move on to our third floor and council chambers rendering presentation by our Public Works Director, Sam Gutierrez.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the City Council and members of the public. We have a short presentation, sort of a progress report, and we'll be seeking a little bit of direction from the council regarding the City Hall third floor renovation and the council chambers renovation. So we have completed the programming phase of the project. This is the phase in which we met with and evaluated the needs of all the departments, including the admin department. Also, we've met with city council members individually to discuss the project and determine the final layout. So what we'll be presenting today is a result of all of the feedback put together in what we consider the final design. This final design does not vary much from what we've shown you previously, so it'll be a brief presentation focusing mainly on the changes that we have obtained, that we made based on the feedback. We are seeking consensus and direction from the City Council so that we can move the project to the next phase, which will be the development of the construction documents, which will be the documents we will use to bid the project out. So I'd like to bring Scott Brady and Venus Abadali to talk about the presentation.
Can you hear me? Can you see me and hear me? Can you see me and hear me?
Yes, we see and hear you.
Okay. And then who's Sam, can you give me who's handling the slide? Is it you or is it Juan?
It's me.
It'll be a member of our IT department. All you have to do is say next slide, please.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I just briefly go ahead and go to the next slide. I just want to just say on the basement, the first floor, the second floor, we have some just restroom remodels. Go ahead, next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So third floor is the major renovation. I think you've generally seen the layout where we put human resources in to the right top, community development on the other side below them. And then we have the mayor, city manager, mayor, and city council in the middle. And I think you've seen, and there's been discussion about basically all the offices are the same size. And they are slightly less than the sizes before. And we've created this larger living room area that's in the middle that opens out into the Zocalo. And then to your left, we've added a reception design, which we have a 3D image of. And then as you walk in off the elevator and in the stair, there's a conference/office space that currently is now the exterior terrace. So it's basically being enclosed. The break room is a little bit larger. We've used up some of that space in the larger conference room just across from the reception. And then we've created an access space into the terrace that will allow the human resources and community development to walk around the core of the city manager's, council member, and mayor area. The idea is to create this more private space. They'll have access to the break room. Everyone will have access to the break room. The copy room is to the right of the city manager, which everyone will have access to, but it's kind of central to where everybody's at. Go ahead, next slide. So the idea of the reception, it's a circular kind of taking away from the Zocalo. It's just a small reception area with the council member plaques and images with the seal behind the desk. And the seating area is totally open now with windows and view of the Zocalo. To the right is the conference/office space to the right. Go ahead, next slide. For the council chamber, I think we've had this discussion before, but instead of just entering the council chamber directly, now we have an enclosed vestibule for added space and open windows. Go ahead and go to the left a little bit, zoom out. We removed had to remove some of the seats, the fixed seating to allow handicap access. So there's basically 4 seats that have been removed and then space allocated, and they'll be plaqued to allow the public and wheelchairs to have access. The lectern is the same position. We've added that exit door to the top behind Lulu where she sits in case for emergency, there's another exit. And then there's ramping. Now we've added that ramp. So instead of a step up to the dais, the council members will go up to a ramp that will also allow somebody in a wheelchair to have that same access. And also the entrance into the side of the council chamber at the bottom there where the vestibule is, that's all been upgraded to ramping. So if somebody needs to have access that's in the council or a mayor or city manager or whoever, they'll have access, ADA access through ramping. The restroom has been upgraded. The council conference room is larger. The storage room that was now on the outside has now been removed, and the council conference room has a second exit. I think that's basically it. Go to the next slide. So this is just kind of a quick look at the vestibule. It's enclosed. It'll have a big window that opens up into the Zocalo. Next slide. So the council chamber, this is looking as you walk into the council chamber, kind of more, and the one on the right is a kind of a zoom in. The idea is to basically, the big idea of the council chamber is to remove the ceiling that's currently there, that's kind of dropping just above your head. The idea is to completely open that up, remove the air conditioning venting system, and make it as the space as large as possible. The idea is to, one nice thing about the building is it is concrete. So the idea is to potentially expose the concrete beams and then fill up with acoustical material in between the beams to maximize the space and give the ceiling a little bit more texture. Also around the dais, the idea is to expose the concrete on the side and then, but still allow the dais to be a higher quality wood to have more accent. As you can see, the TV screens are now going to be located on the side. So the public is viewing everything from the side and then has clear visual access to the dais. And the air conditioning system, the duct system that we removed is basically being run along the side of the council chamber. Those are those gray soffits that you see on the left and the right. And we've added a glass railing along the security wall that's in front of the lectern to your right there, just to kind of give you a little bit more security, have it a little bit higher, but still have the visual access to the dais. Lighting is probably going to be hung lighting, as it's not right now. It's not currently designed, but that's probably what we're going to do. That you see that hung element just above where it says City of Baldwin Park. That would be the accent lighting for you guys to put lighting on to your face. See if we have one more slide. This is just a different view from where you're sitting. The dais is not completely designed. You actually have a little lip there so people can't see. Your laptops that you'll have is your viewing element, and your microphones and your speakers that each individual have that's on the dais, sitting at the dais. You can see the exit door there to the left. And I think that's basically it. I think we're out of time. Any questions?
Does council have any questions?
The council chambers? Yes. Scott, did you bring that information?
What information?
The dimensions of the offices.
Yes, so the office is just a kind of a brief description. The mayor's office previously or currently right now is 244 square feet. The proposed office in the third floor plan that I just showed you was 132 feet, so it's been reduced. 132 feet is actually the size of all the offices in the new design. The old council member offices varied in sizes from 240, 238, 173, and 142 square feet. So all those offices are slightly smaller. And basically mayor and council chamber, council member offices are now currently all the same size at 132 square feet.
Scott, or staff, can you please put up the third floor diagram, please? You can zoom that in. I'd appreciate it. Makes it easier for our audience. Excellent. The terrace that you have there, is that going to be enclosed or is that going to be an open terrace?
Currently, right now, it is open.
So that's an open terrace right now, correct?
Yes, and it's the design that you're looking at is that it is open. The only terrace that's enclosed is that conference room or office over by the reception.
Got it. No, I appreciate the work and the thoughtfulness and the considerations from all of our colleagues and staff. The one thing I still don't necessarily agree with is there's by putting up two doors on the left-hand side, or where I guess it'd be council CM1 and CM2, and then another door near office, I guess, room 318. That kind of creates a scenario in which the staff that are located on the right-hand side literally have to go outside, especially during the heat, during the short period of times that we have water, when it rains and so forth. But more importantly, it creates like an exclusive area. And I certainly wouldn't want to create that by putting a door there, at the very least near room 318. I can see it being done for the room to the left-hand side of as we're looking at the image for security reasons, right? So there's another passageway before someone from that are visiting from the third floor to come in. That creates another security point. But the door on the right-hand side near the city manager there, my suggestion would be to remove that. So that way folks that are located in the right-hand side can easily walk through those offices, through the council and mayor's office, and more importantly, the city manager, because oftentimes I'm sure the city manager has, informal conversations with colleagues coming to their office, and providing a barrier like that just doesn't make sense in that particular area. So that would be one thing. And then can we go down to the council chambers slide, please? I think it's the next one. One suggestion I would make is with the podium setup that you're looking at, that we have currently now and the one in the future, is if we can build it to the point where it's removable. So it can be moved to the left or to the right or however it might be. Because again, another thing that I'm envisioning that this council chamber to be used besides city council are just for other community events, presentations, trainings for our staff or for others that wish to use the council chambers. That might provide a little bit more flexibility because sometimes having the podium that's just stuck there prevents some flexibility. And then for the back, where there's still going to be the front, where there's still going to be the drop down screens that the audience will be able to see.
No, the idea is to do all the screening on the side. That way it leaves the visual, the visual open so they're looking at you clearly. There was no really good design where if you put the screen in front of you, it's a little bit odd. So the recommendation from the audio visual engineer was to put the screening on the side, which has been done in other council chambers for other cities.
Right, but I thought there was going to be a drop-down schedule, a drop-down menu, a drop-down screen behind the council, a very large one, or a couple of them.
So you're saying behind the dais? Is that what you're saying?
Behind the dais, yeah.
Yeah, we can look at that. I think now that we've removed the ceiling too, it's maybe a little bit more workable. I think the idea though, it's got to be drop-down because. I know that for visual, for taking photos and stuff like that, the idea is to show the city and the seal and stuff like that. So most of that will be blocked when the screen drops.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I mean, that's easily raisable. I think City of Hawaiian Gardens has something like that where they drop it down for presentations, and they have their city logo where they take their pictures and so forth with the community and others, and they just raise it up. And that's actually not behind them; it's to the side of them, off the dais. But that's just the way it's configured over there. And then with the televisions that you're looking at, the monitors, what's the largest size that you're going to be going with? Because again, we want to make this as accessible to our audience to be able to see, images that we're looking at right now, from 10 feet or 20 feet or whatever distance they might be.
I'm not sure the exact size. I think it's about 3 feet by 5 feet. I'd have to look it up to see the exact size, but the audio visual, they kind of do all that calculation in the visual. But I was just thinking in the back though, we'll have to look at that too, because the curved wall makes it a little bit more complicated to do a larger screen. So there will be a minimum size on that screen because we can't, you guys still have to be able to get up and yeah, so there's a little bit of curvature back there. So yes, it can be done. We'll look at it.
All right, perfect. If you just look into those and just report back to us, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I think those are great ideas. I would just disagree with the door. I would leave the door. It's an extra set of security. On days with extreme weather, we could just leave it open, and I think it'll be up to staff. But sometimes we're up there, we're having a conversation, and somebody can walk by. A lot of times, I don't think there's a room in there anymore for conference. Conference room is now outside. So I think just leaving the door there and leaving it up to staff whether they want to have it open or closed that day. And then on extreme weather days, they can just leave it open, let people stop by, but it gives them control of the atmosphere up there because sometimes there is sensitive conversations going on.
Yeah, one thing I didn't mention is that the idea though was that those actually doors would be slide card read doors, that they could actually be locked. It's not finalized yet, but that was kind of the intention. So based on the previous comments, I guess that is something is that something from both of you guys that you would not prefer to have? Key code access.
What kind of doors were they?
So key code access, only people that have the code would be allowed in those spaces, which would probably be primarily council members, city manager, all the support, whoever you wanted access to. So is that something that actually would be off the table? Because it sounds like you want it a little bit more open.
I think key card should be fine. I mean, especially with our offices. I know I have a lot of documents up there from closed sessions and things like that. And I think it puts a little bit more security there. Like I said, on a day where people need to access there, that door could just remain open. But for the most part, it can remain closed overnight and whatnot.
Okay, so keep it as key code access if we can get that designed into it.
Are there key cards on each individual council office?
No, I'm talking about the two doors into the main, where it says city council member living room. That big space, those two doors on the left and the right, that's one of them, and the one on the right. Those two, the idea was to have those as key code access. So I guess the question is yes or no.
But the reality is, again, it's to allow staff that are located on the right-hand side to be able to move freely through that process. Any sensitive conversations should be either had in your council office or in a conference room. I mean, that's just a good business practice to do. But to exclude the folks that are in the community development, not go through those offices, it just doesn't make sense. Especially if you're, those outside sliding doors. Are those, you said they're sliding doors or? No,
they're doors for egress. It's a code required thing. That's why they're funky like that. But no, that's why it allows you to go one way, both ways, pushing forward to exit the building or exit the terrace.
And are those secured by key card?
That's a good question. I don't think, no, that was not planned to be key carded.
Well,
just the offices, just the private city manager.
One option, and I don't know why, Scott, maybe it's just me who is having a hard time being able to hear you, but one option, Councilmember Hernandez, is, let's put the doors in, and like it's true of so many security access, those can be programmable, and what we program in and what we program out, or if we even keep the doors shut, like you said, we can leave that to our practice, but having the option of having them be able to have secured access, I think is a good one to have. Just the option. But in actual practice, if we end up, I think not providing the door though would not give us the ability to for any number of reasons, secure the access.
Can
So,
you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, this is Councilmember Monica Garcia, and I just want to chime in on the conversation. I agree with Councilmember Hernandez. What are we creating? A culture of distrust? What can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you. You were coming in and out earlier. I don't know if that's what I was sounding like when I was giving my presentation, but
Maybe. I think we're having connectivity issues. I'm going to walk down to chambers.
okay, because I can hear you, but
Okay, thank you. Give me 1 second. I'll be down.
Sam, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's kind of low, so there's some people in the chamber that are having a hard time hearing you. So I don't know if there's any way we can raise volume.
Does that sound any different? I mean, does that sound any different? I have the screen like literally.
We're receiving you well, Scott. You don't have to change anything.
Okay.
Great. So while we wait for Councilwoman Garcia, or Councilwoman Avila and Mayor Pro Tem, do you have any comments on the door?
I just on the door. No, I just had a question on the council offices. Are they going to have a window next to the door, or is it just going to be the door?
As of now, the design shows it with glass, all glass. But we're working with the fire with the city inspectors and the fire department about making sure that the building is safe to egress. So it's in flux what the final design is going to be on that.
But what about, so it's glass towards the terrace there, but what about
Yes.
where the door is at, towards the council members' living room?
It's all glass right now.
Okay, so it's all glass. Okay, got it.
That's the idea, is to try to make it all glass. I think that's the intention. We just have to make sure for egress and fire that it's safe to do, because currently the building's not designed that way. I mean, I don't want to get into detail, but we're looking at we were expecting to do fire sprinklers, but the inspector kind of threw something at us that may not allow us to do that. So we're going to know probably by next week, which the direction that we're going to be able to go in.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to address a little bit on the doors as well. So the existing condition now on the third floor is that there are doors there, but they're kept open all the time. And at one time in the past, it even had access control. One of them, the one on the left side. So what we were thinking here is to, since we're building this project, to build them in a way where they would have access control and can be closed. In case of an emergency or anything, they can lock in. If we decide that we just want to keep them open and go through as it is now, we can do that as well. But having built into infrastructure makes sense.
Mayor, I was having some connectivity issues upstairs, but I just wanted to share some thoughts about the culture, what we're promoting. And I understand, Sam, what you're saying about building in and then using our discretion. But I would say, let's be careful not to create a culture of distrust on the third level. I agree with Councilmember Hernandez that if there are sensitive conversations to be had, that's at the discretion of the individuals having those sensitive conversations. And, it would be as simple as going into an office and closing the door. But I don't like the idea of getting in a regular habit or exercise of having our staff go around the executive offices as if it's like an ivory tower of some kind. I would really like us to create a design and an atmosphere that is inclusive, that is comfortable, that is welcoming, and where people are happy to come to work every day and feel part of a team. So that's where I would caution the use of doors. And I also had a question on the color scheme. what is the difference of the gray versus the orange shaded offices?
So the orange basically is city manager and city manager support. The yellowish colors is mayor and council members. The gray one, it was a last minute change. It was a copy room. It was made to CM3 just 20 minutes before the meeting. So that's basically would be CM support, but it was originally a copy room. The idea was the copy room would be to the right by the city manager. So that was just kind of right now it's like future office space. I guess best to answer your question.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I see the conference room there, which is nice. And I understood that we were possibly going to look at a storage room. So could that gray office be a potential storage room?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, those would be my comments. Again, I think we need to look at what are we encouraging with the design. I think it looks great. I love the entrance. And I get that at the entry point to the third level that we would want to have security for our staff. Again, in the name of creating an environment that is comfortable, safe, welcoming, but secure for our staff. Those are my comments.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think a welcoming environment is long overdue at City Hall. However, I don't think that one door is going to make that difference. That structure is already there. I think what's going to happen is that eventually we're going to end up adding it in the name of security. So I don't see why we're not adding it now. Happened with the elevator was open to everybody, then we added it there. Also, you need to consider that there is multiple access points to the third floor, the second floor, and the first floor, not just through the elevators, but through the stairs. That is a safety measure. And with everything going on, I hear a lot about safety. And so to me, I think this is one of the opportunities where we can make sure that that is a safe zone for everybody. It's not just about the environment. The door can remain open. It doesn't have to be closed. It's currently what's happening now. It's just a matter of adding that key card instead of having to go back in the future and paying more for it because it wasn't part of the original project.
Another point, I don't know, there's been discussions that the operation, like currently right now, third floor, public is allowed to come up and have conversations with whoever's up there. The way we've been talking about it, and I don't know if you guys are in the loop on this, is that the idea is that any public access, other than what the city manager or the mayor or council members may bring into the office, is public access would actually be down in the second floor. So the idea is that there is the publics in general are not coming up to speak with human resources or community development. That's the way we've been discussing it. So I don't know if that's an understanding that you guys have, but that's the way we've looked at it because we had more security, but the idea is kind of knocking that security down a little bit because the only one that should be coming up there is anybody to talk to the city managers, council member, mayor, and that's something that would probably be by appointment most likely. Does that make sense?
Mayor, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm just thinking about the staff that's in the back,
Right.
Yeah, we want to make sure that staff feels that this is their home away from home and that they have access and that they're comfortable. It's about creating a nice environment physically, what you can touch, but also how it makes you feel. And so if it's, if you're being asked to go around the executive offices, what message are we sending to our staff? Everybody contributes here at the city. Everybody does a very important job. The executives are not more important than our executive team versus our staff levels that, are here every day, 10 hours a day, 4 times a week or more. We want everybody to feel that, they're just as important.
Yeah. So real quick, I don't think a lock is the definition of that. I think, better representation, fair wages, and all that can be the conversation for making sure that our employees are feeling comfortable and safe. But the key lock is not the answer to that. It sounds to me like staff and the designers are agreeing on that, but that is okay. If that is the way, but I do encourage this conversation to keep taking care of our employees, going past this idea of the key lock. So Sam, continue.
Well, if there are no more other comments, we can move forward into the next phase of the project, which is construction documents. And before we finalize those, we'll come back and iron out a lot of these issues.
So Sam, as you're looking at that, look at, the clear glass also doors for those two other areas. Because again, back to Councilmember Garcia's points, that opens up a little bit more, well, not only light, but also that visibility, especially if the current practice now is to, as we already know, is to keep those doors open. That just, that just makes it a little bit more inviting as we're looking at that, considering that the rest of the other council doors is all glass. The security part is less and less because again, if we're really concerned about really securing the whole part, there'd be access points with key cards through the terrace and so forth, even more so. But as we currently have, most people that come up to the third floor are based on appointments or based on invites. So they're known people that are being invited up to the part. It's public work is definitely the public generally come to the second floor and do the work there. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Is that all for today, Sam?
Yes, that concludes our presentation, Mayor. Thank you.
Great. So we'll go ahead and move into closed session.